and answers. So for
Mm-hmm.
those just joining us, welcome to PETV Presentation Season 2, Episode 1. We just had William do a presentation, excellent presentation. If you want to check out the full presentation, the link will be below. And now we're going to take questions from the audience, and William has graciously volunteered to answer some of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the first question I have is from Curtis. Curtis wants to know, how long till FarmBot scales to an acre? Have you heard of FarmBot?
Yeah, I saw it. Well, it all depends on how the initial one. I'm actually saw that they're actually pre-selling it. I'm not sure if it's already in use. So it all depends how much money they make, and then but scaling that I would say that the main issue is scaling that from one bed to two beds to four beds to 16 beds. I would say that the small unit is the one. Big agriculture will be having. I already saw that they have self-driving tractors, so it's only a matter of time. That's their that's only natural for them to do. Because if you don't have to pay immigrants the lowest wage possible, then the robot is the next step. So they're already working on it. That will be happening, but that's why I say that we are also going to benefit from the automatization as well, because you can create automated systems on your homestead, automated gardening, and especially if we see that Elon Musk he's developing new batteries. If that gets into commercial production, then we'll all benefit from all the technologies, and it's only a matter of I would say time. It's only a matter of time when we're all going to have a small batteries that are able to run the whole house for the whole day. I can't wait.
Have you seen those? They use diamonds to take nuclear waste and build batteries out of it.
Whoa!
And these things are like 1,000 years of battery power.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first thing I thought was, man, that'd be great in cars. But then I'm like, wait, car wrecks would be horrible.
Yeah,
but things like those batteries of the houses for your house. Imagine having a 10th or 1,000-year battery that's plugged into your house. I mean, it's incredible stuff.
Well, the thing is, what Elon Musk is doing is actually perfect for our situation on a homestead, because he's creating a closed loop system with with a solar roof, battery, and a car. Okay, so basically, if you have a solar roof, battery, and a tractor, that's and basically he's making it as affordable for all of us. So I don't see how that trend could reverse on itself, unless there is a huge, I don't know, financial collapse or whatever. I can only see maybe that a little bit slowing, but there's a trend where we are going. So that's actually a good trend.
Yeah, I think so too. Financial collapse or a giant war. If we enter another world war, I mean, there's motorcycle companies that were shut down because they just had to shut them down to start using their factories to manufacture.
To produce something else. Yeah.
So that can be devastating to this great ingenuity that's coming out. But one thing I thought about with that FarmBot was how it's going to work in the winter. But I imagine, the more people that buy it and use it, the more R&D they can put into it, and I'm sure they'll come up with a solution.
Well, I would say also, another technology is 3D printers. Okay, so that's another, technology that is coming, and also, why couldn't you print? With 3D printing, I'm first thinking about all those tiny little plastic things that broke on me, and then the whole product was unusable anymore. So just from that perspective, printing little bit tiny things that can help you on the homestead. That's just the beginning. Other things are following. So
even if it's just to print replacement parts, those little crappy replacement parts, or
Yeah.
being able to recycle your plastic. That's what I really want to see in the 3D printing realm, is to be able to recycle my plastic and then put it into the 3D printer, have it process it, and turn it into something else.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Okay, next question. What did the government and financial system look like in Croatia right before the financial collapse you went through? So, like, what was the government doing? What are the telltale signs that something's going wrong?
Well, the first thing is we had war. So basically, because of the war, we were a part of the Yugoslavia. So each country went on its own. So each country was forced to print its own money, and the government was actually focusing resources on the war. So, and we had a huge inflation during that time. We had actually huge inflation before the whole Yugoslavia actually collapsed, leading to collapse. So I would say that there is a huge rise of nationalism before in events leading to the war, and then there are engineered events that actually lead to triggering the war, and then once you're in the war, you don't actually the economy is non-existent in a way that nothing is important except producing essential products and services. And in a situation like that, and the people who suffer are the most are specialists who let's say engineers, or you would say geologists, or whoever is highly specialized, he's going first down. And people who are able to adapt and being a generalist, they are the ones who survive, as the government actually cuts everything and focuses only on resource on the war and maintaining law and order. So, and the financial system actually two different realities. One leading to the war when we had huge inflation, and then the other one was floating our own currency, and that was a little bit different. I don't remember because I was a kid, but I clearly remember just a bread or certain things costing thousands of dinars, or even more, tens of thousands of dinars, as the hyperinflation went. But it was all leading to the collapse. So I wouldn't say that there are telltale signs of financial collapse, because I don't know. I was too young to actually think about it. For me, it was all the game. It was I was playing soccer, and we were listening to the explosions somewhere further away, actually thinking it's all a game.
Yeah, that's, I can't imagine. I hope our kids don't have to go through something like that. But
yeah, I hope.
Was like 80 years. There's some kind of major war, and we're right on your mark.
And I would say maybe the thing is the most dangerous place to be is maybe I would say even somewhere in, of course, in the Middle East, because they are completely bombarded all the way, but where you have a lot of different countries that are let's say in Europe. We all kind of, I go 20 kilometers in that direction, I'm in a country where I don't understand the language. I go 40 kilometers in that direction, I'm a country that I don't understand. And because of the immigrant crisis and everything that's happening, we are actually seeing not a lot of hostility, but a lot of political perturbations between the countries because of the immigrant crisis. People, countries erecting walls and actually really political extremists winning the election, and the political rhetoric is becoming really, I would say, really concerning between the countries in Europe, because we are different, but because we are also led into believing that we should, close our borders. So actually, we are retreating in the country rather than, what they envision with the European Union to have like a border-free something like in US.
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of how the United States was ended up formed. I mean, essentially every state was its own country, and then we needed to borrow money, so we needed a single currency, and so
Mm-hmm.
we ended up combining
Mm-hmm.
states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the rules was that you couldn't interrupt commerce in between those states.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and now we see things like Brexit going on, and I think a lot more countries are going to start doing that as
Yeah.
well. They're going to
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
which would be essentially this, like if different states exited
Mm-hmm.
the United States to create
Mm-hmm.
their own countries. Like, California is trying to do that right now. They're doing the
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. California is a special snowflake, huh?
Yeah, well, they're, what are they, the 10th largest economy in the
Yeah.
world, or
No.
just California, something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Just
I mean,
California.
it'd be a huge hit to the United States. As
Mm-hmm.
far as, I mean, we get a lot of tax money from them that the federal
Yeah.
government uses for all
Yeah.
the programs we don't need. Uh,
They're not happy about it.
what
Yeah.
happened? What do you think happens to the farms and the farmers during the financial collapse? Like, is there a max exodus of people in the cities and they go to the more rural areas, or do you
No.
see that
Well,
going on?
let me just tell you what happens. Because I can clearly follow that in Croatia. On my grandparents' farm, uh, there was a lot of people who were living, in the rural areas, in the villages, and it was actually, buzzing with life. But as uh, things get, harder and harder, actually the first places that are hit hard are actually those areas, the villages, because there are no more jobs in the villages. You always have jobs in the cities. Okay, so the main capital in Croatia is Zagreb, and people are always gravitating towards Zagreb from all directions. So actually, the trend is actually first going from the villages to the cities. Okay, because all the jobs are in the cities. But what that makes, but once you, and that's happening for the people who are highly specialized. Okay, so if you are in a village and no jobs, and you are, for example, a geologist, it's only natural for you to go to the big city. Okay, but once you're in the city, and if you don't have a job in the city, then you're screwed. Okay, so then you have to go to another country. Okay, and so that's what's happening in Croatia. People are leaving villages, coming to the main city, coming to the capital. With no jobs in the capital, they're moving to Australia or somewhere else. But that's a trend that's happening, let's say, in a hard economic conditions. But I would say that it's a little bit different today, because people are living for generations in the cities, but have abandoned their roots on in rural areas, on villages. So if you're because of the technology that we have today, okay, it's completely different to be somewhere on a village, because you have internet, you're able to make an income through online. You are much more connected with people, you have the technology, and you have the knowledge. So it's completely different today, being on a farm, than it was before. Basically, before, they didn't know anything what was happening. Today we have internet, we have the knowledge. So as I went coming from the city to the village, I would say that I'm seeing a huge trend happening around the world, because once you're in the city, you have no means to provide for yourself. You don't have any self-sufficiency, any resilience, you can't do anything. Once you're on the farm, you have so many different ways, that you can, you don't even have to have a wage. You can produce your own food. It is hard, but that's why today, with all the technologies, I'm saying that we have much more opportunities to create different sources of income. So the trend is, I would say, today, I would say, not exactly in Croatia, but I'm the one of those city people who is actually reversing the trend and going in the other direction, because I can see that the cities are much more, without the job, you're screwed in the city, and there is no way around it. you either go to other country, or you find a way to take care for yourself. And taking care for yourself, there's nothing better than having a land that you can do that.
And where do you see the most successful or tight-knit communities forming? In those village kind of areas, or in the cities? I guess in the cities.
No, I would say on the smaller cities that are able to govern themselves. Okay, smaller city in a sense that on a fringe or on an area around the smaller cities. Okay, I would say that areas. Well, even Croatia, you can go some countries, some areas, some regions where you have cities that were before booming with life, and villages that were booming with life, totally distracted economically and demographically and everything. But you have other parts that are completely different, completely much more much higher standards. So the difference is is huge because of the self-governing abilities of the cities, and then the natural resources and everything that is around those cities. So that's why I think that in search for a land or for a property, I first look at what town or city I want to gravitate toward. Okay, and then I find that, and then I expand my search in the, let's say, 30 kilometers around that city. Okay, and then looking at the natural resources. That's my first. First is looking at that town or city that will be able to provide me all the services that I want, for example, and has a certain culture, certain things that I need, and then look around.
Yeah, definitely see what kind of natural resources are there. That's very important, especially if you're gonna have your community bartering with other communities.
Yeah.
If you have a salt, for example, you're gonna be system. Having a system would be perfect. Have you you mentioned technology and being able to have jobs online like we do, and that being a benefit. Do you think technology has also been a detriment to building community, because people don't seem to interact with each other nearly as much as they used to? And some would argue that it's because of technology that is the case, that people aren't as tight with each other as they used to be.
Of course they're not, but that's there's a thing in human nature that we have all these technological products, and they're not engineered to make us stray from each other, but they are so appealing that we spend more time with those kind of technologies than in person. And that's a huge, like Joel Salatin would say that he had some, maybe I'm wrong in what he said exactly, but he said that the average 30-year-old male is better in playing games than in something else, something in those terms. And I'm seeing a real danger because of as technology is progressing, then virtual reality is also progressing. So I can clearly see people being stuck in their houses with virtual reality rather than going outside on a trip. So I would say the technology is unfortunately making us less sociable in a way. But of course it's just a tool, and you always have people who are, let's say, able to see that, and you have the mass of people who are just you always have that maybe 90% of people who are not on the right path, I would say, who are easily deceived, who are easily controlled.
They're just using it for the distraction, the entertainment purpose. But I've seen it as a tool. One really cool tool that has come out of the internet is a website called Neighborhood. You ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so what this website is, it's pretty cool. It's basically you put in your address where you're at in the world, or the United States. I don't know if it's outside the United States or not, but it's a social network that is within a certain distance of your house. So I think it's like 5 miles, And so you put in your house, it looks to see if there's any other existing neighborhood communities on the site. And if there isn't, it lets you create one. And what it does is it actually sends a letter to every address in that area that's around your neighborhood or location, letting them know that, hey, we're starting up this website where we can talk to each other and barter with each other and trade skills with each other. It's really cool. So there's some very cool things that and helpful things that I think come out of the internet and the technology that's being developed. But yeah, you're right. Like what, 90? Yeah, I'd say it's probably 90% of people that just, they don't really, I don't know if you call it wasting it, but they're just using it for the entertainment purposes. And spending too much time using it for that. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Oh, that's not going to happen. Okay. Roberto asks, what advice do you have for those who don't have the resources to buy land?
Well, I would say, first, are you planning, to buy land or not? If you're planning, if you currently don't have resources, then there are ways to acquire those resources. And I always, when people say that they're stuck in a job they don't like, or their job is not making their enough money, my important what I want to say is that the future, the employment in general has changed, because for example, my grandfather was working for 40 years, in a same company, for the same company. That's not happening today anymore. So what's happening is that, we are rather changing our employment so often that the best thing people can do is either become entrepreneurs and have their businesses, or have a way to sell themselves and learn those skills. Because only by, let's say, starting a business, only by being a little bit entrepreneurial, you can actually save. You can break through that boundary of exchanging your time for money, and actually earn more money. So that would be one way, I would say, to everybody. See what we are doing. I'm having my business. Josiah has his own business, and that's the way to break that, from that chains of just employment and exchanging your time for money. So if you can start some kind of business on the side, just a small business, to get some income, and then reinvest that income into the business, that's another additional income stream that of course builds your resources. Another way would be, for example, that you connect with others, move to the area where there are the people, and maybe do something with them. But it's a strictly money issue. You either inherit your land, let's say from parents, you either find a way to strike a deal with somebody and buy something, with the option, or lease something with the option to buy. But if it's strictly money and it's strictly resources, then of course it depends on your unique context. For example, for me and my wife, it was we actually saved 60 or 70% of our wage. When we were in Australia, we were living in shared accommodation, and that's why I say it all depends in what current phase of life you are in. If you have kids, and if you have your job, and if you have mortgage, then of course you can't do that. But if you can, then read, for example, the book is called Early Retirement Extreme, where the guy was actually saving 70% of his wage. Now he's living, I don't know where he's living, but he actually saved so much that now he's investing his money living off of interest. So it's only a matter of sacrificing for the cause, how important that's it, and how are you able to engineer your way out. Each of us has its own unique context, and it's different for me, and it's different for somebody else. So I would say, but the best thing is when you're thinking about the future is also becoming a little bit more entrepreneurial and starting a business on a side that you can eventually maybe scale up and make a full-on living. And starting a business doesn't have to be a full-on business. You start something small. The most important thing is to find a first customer. Once you have first customer, you're learning business, and then you're scaling from 1 to 2 to 3. You're scaling your product, and that's you can start that on a side. So that's kind of the best advice I can give to anybody is start learning about about business and scale from there, and you'll get your resources. Of course, you can do all kinds of different investments, but you have to be able to sacrifice and smart what you do with your life, and in general have a general strategy on how you're going to engineer your way out.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And Early Retirement Extreme is an awesome book. I highly recommend it to everybody. Yeah, that's the kind of mindset you need, is get rid of all the crap, go down to just what I need, like just what I need in life. Break your life down to that. And I say, get rid of all the stuff you don't need, even if you've already acquired it, because you want to be in the mindset of, I just have what I need, and it's time to get busy, get working on life. And now Roberto wanted to clarify that he's an older guy without the answer for the younger generation. So that's who the question was for. My recommendation is, just like William said, Early Retirement Extreme. Just start getting rid of crap. And once you've done that, like what I did, I went down to, I have 4 forks, 4 knives, 4 plates, 4 cups. I got rid of everything that I didn't need. And the only reason I have 4 is in case I have company, because I'd rather just have a couple of dishes to wash. So that's the first step. The next step for me was the income stream. If you have a skill right now, let's say you have a skill, you're into permaculture stuff, you probably are because you're watching this. If you have a skill in permaculture, like how to make wicking beds, contact Permaethos, contact these companies that are doing online courses, do a course. You're going to invest that time to build the course. Let's say you invest 4 months of your life to building this awesome course, filming it, and bam, once the product's done, put it up for sale, and then it's constantly up for sale, so you have that passive income coming in. And just keep doing that until you've built up a lot of passive income, and then you can invest that income in whatever you want. I like the passive income. That's what I strive for, is finding ways to build products that are resellable for life. But that's my entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Some people want to work for others, but the working for others thing doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. All right, William, thank you so much for your time. We've taken up plenty of it. It is, guys, he had, what is it, 3 a.m. or something where you're at?
No, now it's already 5, so it's time to go to work.
William woke up at early in the morning, 3 a.m. to be with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josiah, and everybody.
All right, bye, guys. We'll see you next week. We got, we're doing... Michael Jordan, the Bee Whisperer, is going to be on, and he's going to be doing a presentation on beekeeping. So we'll see you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed the show. We did go live on Facebook. If you want to go on Facebook, you can rewatch. All right, bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.